It's 28 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Megwa, and what a show we have for you today. Of course, all the conversations that have been going on, we've been keeping up with each and every one of those conversations and getting perspectives on them. And I think that's one of the most important things to do as we are right now. We are at a very critical point, Maupe, in Nigeria's history, where something that we let slide over the years has become front burner. So what kind of actions can be taken right now, and how do we stop this menace from continuing to repeat itself?
Big question, and only yesterday the president declared a nationwide security emergency on the country, ordering the DSS and the police to recruit personnel and use the NYSC training camps to make sure that these people are trained and can join the force as quickly as possible. So indeed, I don't think it needs any repeating. We are now in a security emergency. Well, just before, people will say, how did we get here? There have been big conversations as to how we got here. But in the last couple of weeks, we do know that conversations have been heated, especially in the wake of the threat given by the United States, saying that they were going to declare, they were going to come into the country. I mean, I think it was President Trump who said that they were going to intervene, and it was going to be, intervene, guns a-blazing, and it was going to be short. It was going to be vicious, short, and sweet. I think that was what he said. And in the wake of that, of course, there have been developments after that. Nigeria has since sent an envoy to the United States. There's been a congressional hearing. The conversations have remained in Nigeria as to whether or not there was a genocide ongoing. There have been different people intervening, faith leaders, for and against, some saying, look, maybe we shouldn't just look at that. Maybe we should look at what exactly it is, what the signs are, and let us approach it from there and see how it is that we can stem our people dying. Well, this morning, we're not going to be taking too much time because we see that our guest is already waiting for us. This is somebody who has recently weighed in on the conversation in a very heavy and a very decisive manner. This morning, we're being joined via Zoom from Port Harcourt, Pastor Pastor Ashimolowo, who is a senior pastor and the founder of KICC, and he joins us virtually from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Pastor Ashimolowo. It's good to see you on our program this morning. We can see that we had to pull you out of a very important event that you are currently championing in Port Harcourt, and thank you so much for making time to be with us on the program. Oh dear, I hope you can hear me. Pastor Ashimolowo, if you can hear me, I was just saying thank you so much for being with us on the program. You have intervened in a very, very decisive manner in this conversation, and not quite saying that, yes, there is a genocide going on in the country, but you say that there is sufficient evidence that cannot be ignored, and that if, we're not looking at that precisely, that perhaps, what we should look at what exactly is going on, and that there needs to be accountability. I wanted to start by asking you, what reactions have you received, either by people from the authorities or from the Nigerian masses, after you made your intervention into the ongoing conversation?
Thank you very much, Maupe. I really would have loved to let that subject rest because it was said within the context of what we're doing in Port Harcourt today. I only spoke as a Nigerian, I only spoke as a pastor, and I only spoke as a person who grew in northern Nigeria. I guess the reaction has been that people felt truth was spoken. I don't think the government is in denial. That personally would say much of the trouble we may have seen or are seeing was not started but during this period. I think this government inherited quite a challenge, and I think they're dealing with it. I only had to just speak because the body of Christ needed to say something. That was it. But the context in which I said it is what you can see in the background. Port Harcourt Stadium is packed with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, because for the past 3-4 days, we've been distributing 150,000 packs of rice, 150,000 packs of beans, 150,000 packs of gari, hundreds of thousands of things. Today we're going to be distributing clothing, food, mattress. We've already done 570 surgeries, and we will tomorrow and the day after be handling a medical that will be unprecedented. We have 150 doctors ready. We have 150 pharmacists ready. We have 100 or 200 nurses ready. Behind me are women 50 and above. We did it according to age. Beside them are men 50 and above. And on another side is ladies who are the young ladies, those who unpack the whole stadium. We've been giving food and clothing. We've been giving material for the past 3-4 days. And the last day of this thing is going to be medical, which is tomorrow, and the day after. We brought in medicine worth 500 million naira. I know there's a subject, but we want to focus on just helping the people, and we leave the other issues to the government. I hope I gave the answer you were expecting.
Well, I know that, certainly, usually towards the end of the year, a lot of, I want to believe that KICC does this outreaches a little more often, but I do know that a lot of faith organizations usually do their outreaches towards the end of the year to kickstart the spirit of the season, the season of giving, etc., etc. However, we also know that when you're looking at giving out packs to 150,000 people, for instance, that is also happening within the context of poverty. It's happening within the context of lack. And people have said that, look, perhaps it's also fueling what it is that we're seeing. Because if in a place like Port Harcourt, which is supposed to be a relatively well-off state, we're seeing these numbers of people coming out to receive this this assistance, there'll be questions as to, even in the places where we now know that people have been ravaged, people have been displaced from their homes as a result of conflict, that we might be seeing much more numbers, and that is the context in which we're discussing insecurity, for instance. What do you think the role of the church ought to be in this time? Do you think that the church also has a role to empower the people beyond, giving them, I don't want to use the word arms, but beyond giving them this assistance periodically? Do you think that they also have a role in teaching them how to fish?
Well, basically, the church have done quite a lot. In fact, some people will even criticize the church when they begin to teach people to prosper. We do that a lot. However, sometimes also you have to learn that there's another side to the message of Jesus. He said, I was hungry, you fed me. I was thirsty, you gave me water. I was naked, you gave me clothes. That's what we're doing in Port Harcourt. And that's the reason why the people have packed the stadium these 4 days. And we have 2 more days to go. Somebody has to do something. We felt led of the Lord. We felt God was putting this in our heart. I saw something on the smaller scale being done in Ghana. I'm not responding because it's the time of the year. This is actually a ministry on its own. It's not even KICC. Just behind me right now are thousands and thousands of young ladies who are going to be collecting clothing, food, medicine, etc., etc. And like I said, we spent probably somewhere around 500 million to bring medicine. We've already done 570 surgeries. We're paying for all of it. Close to 200 people have been given their eyes back with cataracts removed, hernias removed from people, goiters removed from the neck. People have had fibroid removed. It's the need in the land. And may I just say, everybody says government. I don't think we can leave everything to government. The challenge of the third world, certainly, truly, particularly Africa, is that people need education. They need to know how to fish. But listen, I travel around Africa a lot. I travel around Africa a lot. I go particularly, and I'm proud to be Nigerian. I have never seen people as industrious as Nigerians. Almost everyone has a business. Everyone has a business. We just are a big nation, 240 million people. So we can't leave everything to government. We're playing our part as the body of Christ, as the Church of Jesus Christ. But we're here to make impact. We're here to touch lives. And the thousands who pack the stadium every day have been very grateful. They've been here early this morning because we're going to put a lot in their hand again. Then the last 2 days, we'll do the medicals.
Pastor Matthew, I mean, we do have to commend you for the work that you do. It's every year. I've seen you do this every year, helping the community and making sure that people, their sufferings are alleviated on some level. I want to be able to talk to you about this rising spate of kidnappings in the country. We've seen from the National Assembly yesterday asking that the death penalty be the punishment for kidnapping. And of course, the conversations around how it's become a business in Nigeria. What are your thoughts on this situation, and what could be a lasting solution in your view?
Again, being dragged into this conversation that is unsavory, I would just say hello. I think, number one, trying to just send out people to Sambisa Forest to fish out the perpetrators is not enough. This thing has gone from being one-headed Boko Haram to multi-headed banditry, Boko Haram, terrorism, armed herdsmen, and it's like the myth of Heracles, who was to face a hydra-headed snake. Every time he cut one head, out of the head he cut, 4 heads came out. You want my opinion? I'm just a pastor, but my counsel would have been, and number one, we should look at the security infrastructure of our nation. My question have always been, I was a teenager when Biafra happened. I lost my dad there. Nigeria handled a civil war that was on a larger scale and ended it in 2.5 years. But we cannot conquer Boko Haram in 15 years. Boko Haram have now given birth to ISWAP and many other parts of the Hydra head. My counsel would have been that, number one, we should just do surgery. If United Arab Emirates, CIA said they know people who are behind some of this terror, which government is hiding them? They should be brought out. Then we know these are the enemies of our nation. They should face it. Number two, I think the defense system should do a clean house job. Number three, I think I'm only thinking, and I think there is a lot of rumor that people are benefiting from this whole thing. Whoever is importing probably the weapons may be benefiting. So we need to ensure that the infrastructure is first taken care of. If you hire 1,000 more police and if you hire 1,000 more soldiers, the challenge with Nigeria is that, particularly we who are down south, we don't even know the north. Niger State can swallow the whole of the east and half of the west in size. So a terrorist can hide very well in the bushes of Niger State. And number two, a lot of people down south don't know the nature of the practice of religion in the north. And so they use whatever is happening where they are to judge what may be happening elsewhere. And they think, oh, this claim that there's no freedom in some places is not true. Travel, go around, and you will see that I am almost tempted to say it seems as if there is a dichotomous Nigeria, 2 Nigerias. It needs to be corrected. We need to face it. I need to be free as a Nigerian, as I am in Lagos, today in Port Harcourt. I should be free in Kaurana Moda. I should be free in Maiduguri. I should be free in Gombe. And the person who comes from Gombe should not be bastardized and given a bad name in Lagos. The man from the East should be able to feel free because he's a Nigerian. So let me just say this in a nutshell. Two things are on the table to correct: systems and leadership. Personally, I don't care whoever feels it differently. I respect His Excellency, the President of Nigeria. I believe in him. I think we are having pain right now. Nigeria is going to do good. I think he's a very he's a man who's been through the been-throughs. And he's doing a surgery that will end up in the benefit of the nation. But it's not enough to have a good leader and a great visionary like him. We now need to correct the system. A fantastic pilot in a terrible jet can still have an accident. Fix the jet. Don't just fix the pilot.
And that's a very important point that you just made. I can see that you're doing your part when it comes to the root causes, when we look at insecurity in Nigeria. I grew up in the north as well, so we know it's multifaceted, and you're correct. It's like a hydra-headed snake. Cut off one, four comes out, you know. But you're doing your part, and I can see that, distributor, and you do it every year. Looking at the root causes, what actually drives people into becoming terrorists and bandits. You talked about the president. Is he empowering the Nigerian people to where the concept of becoming a kidnapper or a bandit or a terrorist is no more attractive? Or are we taking Panadol, we're taking paracetamol for a brain tumor?
Let's face the truth. You see, we keep looking at His Excellency, the Executive President. But we are not talking about their excellencies, the executive governors. My mother used to say, a dog cannot watch over two houses. And we need to probably look at our constitution again. And probably put inside our constitution that the executive governor must be in his state for no less than 250 days out of 365. Not 250 days sitting in Abuja and a few days in his state because I don't know what he's afraid of. Let our governors move to their state. Let there be also KPI, key performance indicators for each state. When allocation is made on a monthly basis, it should not just be this is what is due ABC state, EFG state, IJK state. Where are the KPIs the money is tied to? Key performance indicators. If you don't have KPI and you give me large money, I'll just be like a drunken sailor who'll just be spending the money anyhow.
You know, yesterday, you just mentioned the governors. Yesterday, we saw southern governors meet, I think in Ogun State, and you know, they reached a decision that eventually they believe that state policing will be the way to go. This is also coming on the back of the meeting of governors of the Southwest who are also calling for this. How optimistic are you that this can actually have an effect on the current challenges that we're facing?
Again, when you have a faulty jet and you are fixing just one tiny part, the jet may still have a problem. At the end of the day, the police, the state police will only respond to this executive governor who does not spend enough time in his state where he is the executive governor. He's most times in his apartment in the Federal Capital Territory. People don't mention these things. They only whisper it, but these are the truths. You see, you can create state police, but I do hope they will not end up like personal armies of each governor again. You know, before you had democracy around the world, some nations grew to the place where kings and person. It was a characteristic of Arabian lands. The prince of Persia will have his own 5,000 soldiers. And so we need to, the system needs some overhauling. nobody should be so big that there is no system, no law that corrects and controls and questions. Again, I go back to the same thing. You are a governor. I mean, I'm 73 years old. I have seen a bit. I was a young person when the independence happened. I was 8 years old. I was a teenager when Biafra happened. So I know Nigeria. And I've seen fathers, leaders who have risen in this land. The Akanu Ibiams, the Isaac Kiwis, the Sardonas, the Tafa Balewas, the Awolowos, the men who sacrificed. You can't see them sit in the federal capital and not be in the territory. I keep putting my finger on that sore point. This morning, as you are talking to me, the chances are that 60 to 70% of our governors are in Abuja. Is that the state? Is that the place where a man should go and watch over his people? I'm a pastor. I have to watch over my flock. When I am not there, I have exposed them to wolves. So, if we want banditry to stop, the very state where banditry is, let's go there. Let's get those guys out. Let there also be some serious consequence. Can be Boko Haram, rape girls, force them into a religion, force them into marriage, traffic them across states, break about 5 laws. Rape is, I don't know how many years, I'm not a lawyer. Human trafficking, I don't know how many years, I'm not a lawyer. Forceful marriage, I don't know how many years, I'm not a lawyer. Underage sexual copulation is a crime, I don't know how many years, I'm not a lawyer. And then force a person into a religion, I don't know how many years. All these guys did these things. You said it should stop, but you gave them forgiveness. It is even rumored that some of them are in the army. Are they? If they are not, let us know. And it is rumored that they were given blanket forgiveness. No. A man must face the consequence of what he has done. Really, I would prefer we face what I'm doing here, these thousands and thousands of people whom we have come to touch their life. Tomorrow, this place is going to be packed with 40,000 people. The next day, another 30,000 people who will be given medicines. Today, we have distributed so much food. We'll be giving thousands and thousands and thousands of parts of rice and beans and gari and salt and sugar.
Just as we go there, I just want to quickly ask you, is there a reason why Port Harcourt has been chosen? I mean, one would have thought that maybe you would have preferred, maybe even Benue, for instance. You know, is there a reason why Port Harcourt is the destination this time around?
I want to suspect that my own first name even suggests that she's probably from the state she just mentioned. Just joking, rather. I'm a man of the spirit, and I always, I started this major step by the leading of God. At a time, my contemporaries are retiring. God spoke to me to start it after I observed something like this on a smaller level from some guys in Ghana. I went and learned and trained under them for 8 years. We leave London, go and sleep in some 1-star or no-star hotel with them to see them touch the community. When I now wanted to start, I made up my mind it shall be based on the leading of God. I pray, I believe, I know, I hear God. And the first place God said was Ikorodu. Couldn't even understand why until I now remember, that was where my seminary was. Ikorodu was a success. Then we prayed again. God said Ibadan. We went, it was a success. But from when people heard about Ikorodu and Ibadan, every state began to say, oh, it's our state next. But I always listen to God, and God said, go to Port Harcourt. So, well, in Port Harcourt, in my own heart, I like to go to Osun, my Osun state. I've done 13 years for widows there. But God said, he's the director, I should go where he wants. Benue has its insecurities. I would want to ensure there is enough security. I would also want to hear God. If God tells me go to Benue, I will work with the people who are on ground. I do believe that Nigeria is one Nigeria. And I believe that people are entitled to their ancestral homes. Nobody should be chased out of their land and somebody comes to occupy it and we turn the blind eye. If it is Benue next, when Port Harcourt finishes, we'll go back to the spiritual drawing board and we'll listen to God.
Well, Pastor, you know, and we'll soon wrap you up because we can see that we've held you for quite a while from the activity you really planned for today. But I want to quickly ask you this one, and it's quite important because we must admit that these conversations seems to have muddied up the waters of unity in Nigeria. Well, some people say the waters of unity were always muddied up. We're just pretending about it. But we do know that if there's anything that has now come to the fore, you know, this suspicion that could now be reigning amongst Christians and Muslims as a result of recent conversations. Do you think that we need to have a reach out, you know, on both sides of the divide? Do you think, because you have said that government really needs to do a lot to bring the country together, and you also believe in the unity of Nigeria, what do you think needs to happen for both sides to be able to look critically at the issues that have been, you know, tabled, especially with regards to security, and know that this is about lives and not necessarily about one faith dominating or being more important than the other?
Let me honestly say that as a man who grew in this nation, I would also like to say whatever you permit increases. Anything you permit in life increases. You permit your child to throw temper tantrum, that child would almost be uncontrollable in his adulthood. When people began to speak out against the one-sidedness, somebody said, oh, they are crying wolf. Crying wolf until a people began to chase others out of their ancestral land and nobody spoke until a people were being hacked like cows and burnt like tires. Nobody spoke, sitting down, dialoguing. They've been doing that dialoguing a long time. And if a person wants to speak with you and lie later in your presence, he could do it. My counsel, my opinion still is that anybody who has been voted in represents the Christian, the Muslims, the animists, and even the atheists. Nigeria should be a comfortable place where no man is oppressed on grounds of their religion, on grounds of their race, on grounds of their color, on grounds of their dialect. I grew in northern Nigeria. I was born in Zaria. I grew up in Zaria, Kaduna, Kano. I speak the Hausa language. I used to speak it better than the Yoruba language. Understand the Igbo language. Why? Because we didn't even know the distinction when I grew up. You slept, you ate in the home of it. Helps them to win votes. And even when they won the vote, I hope the cry of the masses and the need of the masses is topmost on their mind. Nigeria needs a turnaround. Let's stand behind our president. Now that he has called for more policing, let's stand behind our president. Now that he has called for more soldiers. But above all, in my opinion, 2-3 things. Number one, everyone who goes for security maintenance. That way we will increase the number. Anytime I go to Israel, I'm amazed. Israel's army are 18-year-olds. You serve in the Israel army from 18 to 22. All our NYC guys, community service, should train all of them to where they see somebody just smoking hemp, not even committing any crime as yet. Then the security level will increase. That's one. Number two, let each state, state police may work, but I tell you, it will end up becoming the personal army of somebody who will begin to use it at some point to terrorize others. This is Nigeria, and we have seen people who have misunderstood that word executive behind their title. They execute what they should not execute. So let's all be security conscious. Let the nation look for ways to harness. Nigeria is 60% of Nigeria is under 30. Under 30, 60% of Nigeria is under 30. And if you don't quickly harness them, and they hear of how much the kidnapper is collecting, you kidnap a few people, you negotiate, they pay you 50 million. Money you cannot earn with a master's, with a PhD. People will be tempted. Let's raise security level. Let's make our people proud to be Nigerians. Let's tap into the brain in our nation. Let's also recognize, can you believe it, when I go all over Africa, I've been to about 7 this year. Every African nation I go to, they want to be Nigerians. They're so proud of us. They feel we are the toughest, strongest, boldest. We don't fear anybody, any man, any color. We discriminate, we will let you know Nigeria know they carry last. This is the nation we have. And I believe we have a leadership that wants to make things work. Let's support him. Let's be behind him.
We have to thank you so much for your time with us this morning. We've been speaking with Pastor Ashimolowo, who is a senior pastor and founder of KICC International. Thank you so much, Pastor Matthew, for speaking with us on Sunrise Elite this morning. And all the best with the distribution and the outreach you're doing in Port Harcourt.
Thank you.
Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we will be staying with this matter of the congressional hearings. Laolu Akonde was there, and he will be speaking with us shortly to give us the feedback. In just a moment, please stay with us. Indeed, Mr. Laolu Akonde joins us now. He is a former presidential aide and a presenter of Channel Television's Inside Sources. And I'm wondering, I was going to say Laolu without the Abiti Aja is here today. Yes, we have to find something to at least release the tension, because there is a lot of tension in the land. And I'm sure that when you went to the United States, you also felt that tension when you attended the congressional hearing. You've given us a bit of a snapshot while you were there, you know, saying that it wasn't as people thought, that the United States wasn't seeking to invade Nigeria, even though a lot of people had those fears and said they couldn't dismiss it, given what they have seen in other places, how the conversation would usually start, you know, around the country. And before you know what's happening, it has escalated beyond what anyone was thinking. But it does appear now that that hearing has happened. We're hearing more talks. As a matter of fact, I think this week, Nigeria's National Assembly, the House of Reps more specifically, had a conversation, and in attendance were members of the not of the U.S. Congress, but they were members of the diplomatic corps who were admitted into the chambers to listen to the debate around security. So for you, and now there are now talks of collaboration. You know, the U.S. is seeking to collaborate with Nigeria on tackling the current challenges that she faces. This is, of course, still not without President Trump still throwing shade at all. Let's describe it as shade, you know, occasionally. But for you, would you say that we have now, first of all, crossed that threshold of initial danger where people thought that, oh, Nigeria was in some form of grievous danger, especially from the outside? And we're now looking to, we've crossed that, and maybe we're now making some progress. Do you feel assured, having attended that and also seeing what you have seen in Nigeria?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, of course, we must hold President Trump responsible for the extreme rhetoric, saying that it will go to Nigeria, guns are blazing, it will be sweet and short and all of that. Of course, that escalated the perception, and people felt that it meant an invasion. But I think since the last few days with the hearing, and then, of course, the meeting, the fact that the Americans were actually going to be meeting with the delegation that was led by Mr. Ribadu, and some of the assurances that came out of that, I think it is clearer that there wouldn't be an invasion of the country. I think what has happened is that the Christians in the United States, they call them the right wingers. They are the ones behind what you have seen Mr. Trump do, because that is a big part of his own audience, of his own constituency, as they say. The real base of Mr. Trump's support has a very significant amount of Christian movement and groups. And so he is also playing to their gallery to say that, look, you guys are important to me. And if you listen to the hearing, that was chaired by Congressman Chris Smith last week, you will see that they still kept that narrative of the Christians, but also said that, look, yeah, they are also aware that there are also Muslims that are also victims. So altogether, I think it is becoming clear to your question that it's not going to be an invasion. It shouldn't be an invasion. I don't think it ever was going to be an invasion, but it's going to be an opportunity for Nigeria to work with the Americans and any other person who can help us, specifically with intelligence and military assistance. And I think we are getting close to that, and that is what we need to do.
Well, only yesterday, the president did something we haven't seen in a long time. Even though some people are saying, what does this really mean? He declared a nationwide security emergency. I haven't heard, it's like declaring, some people say, is it declaring a state of emergency across the country? What exactly should that mean when we hear that the president has declared a nationwide security emergency?
Okay, two things. The first is that, it's commendable on paper that the president has made that kind of a declaration. Now, it is still short of a state of emergency, and not that I'm calling for a state of emergency, but this is not a state of emergency. This is to say that security issues in the country has become an emergency and is sending a signal that he is sitting up. I commend him. Others say that it is even overdue. What has he been doing before? But hey, look, let's look forward. It's a good thing that he's saying that, look, our objectives in terms of security have become an emergency. That is what it is. It is short of a state of emergency. So he's saying that, look, we've got to do things very fast, and we're going to be avoiding certain procedures or certain regulations that we otherwise cause a delay, or that might be an obstacle that we can no longer afford. So we expect the presidential spokespeople and government spokespeople to give us more details of what this will entail. But it's a very important signal to say that, look, I'm sitting up on this matter, and I understand that we don't have time. The fact that the president stopped his trip to the G20 and the AU, sends you a signal that, okay, I think this man is beginning to appreciate, the seriousness of the situation, and that's a good signal, but it is only good on paper until we begin to see on the ground that this is actually changing the circumstances. And
speaking of some of the things, speaking of some of the things that the president has been doing, the call to cordon some forests.
Right. And
then, of course, the withdrawal of police for VIPs. He's getting some kickback.
Yeah. From
a lot of people. We saw someone here on Politics Today talking about that, and of course we're hearing other people saying, look, no, don't do that. We are even the targets as politicians.
We heard the former deputy speaker, Honorable Wase, in the House of Representatives.
Yes, we're being targeted, so you can't really do this.
That there needs to be clarification.
Yes.
Right.
Who are the VIPs that are being spoken about?
Exactly. Right. So what do you make of that and the kickback against?
Well, there are a few ways to look at it. Because, for instance, I just came back from the U.S. I spent some time with congressmen. They don't have, close security people all over the place. You could walk, a whole street and block with a senator, by himself. You don't see, security people going with them to events and stuff like that. Now, that doesn't mean that they are not being protected, because the whole environment itself, the whole community itself is properly protected. Lawmakers are the representative of the people, and I'm not saying that they ought to be exposed, but I think we have gotten to a situation in Nigeria where we have become more entitled. Those of them in government, representatives, they have become more entitled than understanding the dangers that their own people face.
Is it possible, Laolu, that there is we are in a different climate and our situation is different, hence the pushback? I kept saying kickback. Hence the pushback from these people. Maybe we are facing a different kind of climate with different security dynamics than the lawmakers that you saw in the United States.
No, certainly, but I think in the first instance, it was a perversion of the process to have policemen to be following VIPs all over the place. It's not done in the first place. That's not the job of a policeman. A policeman is trained to maintain internal security, not to become an orderly, to VVIP. So the president is right. And if you look at what the president said, he didn't say that we're going to leave them unprotected. He said that the well-trained and properly armed NSCDC will do the job, which makes more sense. We need those policemen to do their job in all those ungoverned places, put them there, but make sure that they are also properly kitted and properly trained, and properly motivated. Otherwise, it won't be effective. So we have to tell our representatives, please understand this thing. Get along with the program. Get NSCDC people in place. Don't let us push this thing back. Some people have said, I think ADC have said that, oh well, it's all grammar. That's what they say. But if you look at what the president has said to say that, look, this will be the replacement, that tells you that he seems to want to make it work, and all of us should support him and the police to make it work. Let's get the police to do the work of police.
Not to overflog the matter, but our guest on Politics Today yesterday did say, he made an analogy. He says like getting a nurse to do what a doctor's supposed to do. When we talk about the NSCDC being...
No. So that's where they get it fundamentally wrong. Look, let's say to all of them, it is not the job of the policeman to secure a VVIP. It's never. It's not the job. A policeman is supposed to secure the community. That's the job of a policeman. And so we have perverted the police. And so, Mr. Wase, we are trying to correct what we have done that is wrong, and you should support it. The president has said that we are not leaving you guys unprotected. We have NSCDC who are properly armed to do the job. So don't let us push back on that. We need to line up behind the president on that issue.
Let me bring you to the conversations that have been happening at the National Assembly and has been on the lips of many Nigerians. We saw from Saturday, over the weekend when the president started meeting, you already made allusions to the fact that he didn't go for the G20. He asked his VP to go instead. And then we saw on Sunday he had a meeting with his security chiefs, and then shortly after we saw that 52 children, we understand, is it 51 now, in Niger State escaped. Then the 38 people, the worshippers in Eruku, were freed. And then we also saw the girls from Maga in Kebbi State return. And people have been saying, this is fine. We're still waiting for the full return of the children that were taken from Niger State, because we understand about 300 or so of them were taken. But while we wait for that, there have been questions as to what exactly is happening. Were these people, and let me just put it how the Daily Trust puts it, released, rescued, or ransomed? Or do you think that this conversation is unimportant?
Okay, so thank you for asking that question, Maokwe. The people who are victims, and this is important, we need to speak to ourselves with some candor. The people who are victims don't care about how their freedom is restored. It's important for all of us to understand that.
It is true.
Now, and I'm not saying that...
Even for the family members.
Exactly.
Just bring home my children.
They don't care. Look, just want our people back. We want their freedom restored. So to that extent, kudos to whatever it is that they did to bring them back. But, yes, we must ask the question that, so what is going on exactly? How is this done? And that is where, as a government and as a people, we got to, dig deeper to say that we hope we are not appeasing these folks, because if you are appeasing them, you are furthering their capacity to do more damage. And this is a conversation that we must have. Clearly there is a lot of negotiation that is going on with the terrorists. It's one of the things that I was shocked, in my interaction with U.S. congressmen, that they know all these things. They have details. You know, they have names. As a matter of fact, they are compiling, as we are speaking right now, U.S. government officials, they are compiling lists of Nigerian politicians and other voices in the public space who they are targeting to sanction because of what they have said, or what they have done, or what they have refused to do. So they have inside information. I was shocked at the level of information that it was available about who is doing what in this country. So it's important when you know all of that to begin to say that, look, so what's going on? Why are we, if that is what we are doing, why are we appeasing these people? Is that going to end? It's good for the guy who was released because I don't care how you get me free, I'm free. So you know, we must commend that. But at what expense? And then is he going to stop the kidnapping, the abduction, the terror? If he's not going to stop it, then we need to have a very frank conversation with ourselves on what to do next.
Yeah, and it's a very important thing to have because only recently, I think it was 2 days ago, in the National Assembly, as Deputy Speaker Ben Kalu, who raised this issue of, you know, making sure that we sanction
people who negotiate.
Not just people, government officials
yes,
who negotiate, and also who also take part in this unstructured amnesty deals.
Yes.
And we've seen a lot of that happening with governors in the north. We remember that during the tenure of Governor El Rufai, it was a big issue where he said, look, I'm not going to take part in this. The other governors can do what it is that they're doing, but this is not going to be my modus operandi. So do you think that this is, because when I listened to it, I thought to myself, how is this going to be implemented? How will government, even if this was a law, how is the federal government going to sanction the state government? Exactly. Knowing that governors even have immunity, you can't even sue them. What exactly? But I think that ideally, it ought to bring the conversation to the fore. Where do you think that this conversation needs to be happening? Who are those who need to be reacting to that proposal by the Honorable or by Deputy Speaker that this might work or this might not work? Okay,
I mean, so first of all, you know, let us dove our hearts for Benjamin Kalu. This is an act of courage, you know, for Benjamin Kalu to come out and say that, look, we want to sanction even government officials who are doing this. And that is what we need to, that's the kind of conversation that we need to have. To say that, look, by appeasing these folks, we are endangering the ongoing security of our people. We cannot continue. And let us make a law to say that if you do it, whether you are inside government, wherever you are, you know, the fact that you are immune as a governor doesn't, you know, give you the temerity to break the law. So I will say that we need to support Mr. Kalu's bill, if it's going to become a bill, to not just about kidnappers, but the entire, you know, terrorism ecosystem. You know, that we should not, nobody should be allowed to appease these folks.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, why has the federal government been silent all along? Because this news is not, it's not hidden. It's not done in secret. It's done in government houses. I mean, what would have thought that by now, before Honorable Bengalu, you know, raised this issue, perhaps even the president or the attorney general should have, you know, raised this as a matter of emergency, as a matter of urgency. Yeah. That state governments cannot just be having these conversations. Yes, they want peace, but amnesty, yes, I know that, you know, governors also have the prerogative of mercy, but there has to be something more national in terms of how a government engages, especially when it threatens the peace and the integrity or the sovereignty of a country. But it's so far so good. There's been graveyard silence until this moment. Well,
so I mean, the challenge is to the National Security Advisor, you know, whose office has been accused, you know, by no less a person than former Governor El Rufai, who came on our channel to say that, look, you know, this thing is being coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor. They have pushed back that they are not. But you are right, even the governors also seem to be, some kind of cavorting is taking place. Although I was surprised that when I was in the U.S. On Thursday at the U.S. Congress, they mentioned Governor Dauda Lawal. They said that there is one governor in Nigeria who has said repeatedly, that he knows where the terrorists are and he can deal with them in a matter of weeks. I was surprised that they have that much detail. So they know the governors who are, speaking with candor, and they know those who are cavorting. They have videos of that goes all over the place in Nigeria, scene of how some terrorists and bandits we interact with politicians, holding meetings, carrying guns. They know all of these things, and that is why we should say that, look, this is a conversation that we must have, because they don't see us as being serious when we tolerate all these shenanigans, and then we are saying that, well, we want to deal with the situation. That's why I hope also that as part of this national emergency that the president has declared, he needs to have a frank conversation with his national security advisors, not just Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, that, look, this idea of appeasing, of paying monies, whoever is doing it, state or federal, we need to stop it now.
I think one of the shocking things about that whole amnesty situation, and all those the videos keep coming out. You can't check TikTok anymore. All the videos are on TikTok. The terrorists are boasting about it.
Yeah.
So you can't even deny it.
Emboldened.
It does feel like I was talking about an economy that we're creating, and many people have posited rather that a lot of these governors they just want peace for their tenure. They just want to be able to pay off people. Let me finish and go.
Just kick the can down the road.
Kick the can down the road. So the next governor that comes in has to deal with the mess that you created. How can you get governors who are engaged in this? Looking at, many of them feel a little helpless. You have to listen to them when they talk.
Right.
How do we get them to start thinking about legacy? I want to stop this in my time, not just kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, and very important question, Michaela, because that is how we got here. We had presidents in the past who just said that, let me just maintain enough peace. I'm not ready to fundamentally address this problem of insecurity. So we hope that this is going to stop under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who seems to have the courage to do it. And what he needs to do is to call the governors to order, but he has to start from his own office. This must start in the presidency to say that, look, the time has come for us. We're just going to have to deal with these terrorists. I think the president should take the advice of Pastor Adeboye that, look, don't just crush the terrorists, go after their financiers and their supporters. Work with the United States, who are already targeted. They know them. I'm sure that the president also knows some of these people. Go after them. Be bold. Use the instrument of force that is under your control to give us some peace and security in this country.
Well, let's just hope that the president, or at least his advisors, are listening to our conversation and can transmit same. I was going to also point the fact that, Southern governors had their Ashrebi meeting yesterday. They had a few things to say on security, but we're out of time. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Mr. Laolu Akonde is the former presidential aide and the presenter of Channel Television's Inside Sources. Don't miss tomorrow's edition. You certainly do not want to miss Inside Sources tomorrow's edition. So,
thank you.
That's where we'll wrap up Thursday show. It feels like it shouldn't go on. It shouldn't stop, right?
You made me giggle with the Ashrebi. I'm still in giggle mode.
That's where we'll wrap up the program this beautiful Thursday morning. Thank you for being a part of it. I almost said Friday because Kela is here, but she's going to be here again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I'm Maopo Yusuf.
Have a great day ahead. Stay safe. I'm Kayla Magwa.